What I've seen is we're in a perfect storm. We have environmental disasters happening because of global warming, which we've denied. So we have to expect that it is inevitable that major cataclysmic events will occur, and we'll say, oh my God, who would have expected this? Our water is polluted. Our soil is eroded and polluted. We're going to have water wars. 17 states are not possible to be living in them because they can't sustain life in the future. But we're not telling the citizens because it would mean dropping the value of property and causing panic. And rather than causing a panic, we'd rather lie to the people and tell them everything's fine. You give me 250 people in a room who are open-minded, progressive, and independent thinking, and that 250 people is worth 2 million people who are closed-minded, reactionary, and not willing to be flexible and do anything about anything except wait for the inevitable, and when it happens, then scream that they're a victim. Of what? Themselves. We've all been victims of different issues at different times in our life. But once you acknowledge how you've been affected, you have a choice as a free human being to decide no longer to support something that creates a victimization. If I'm living right next to a nuclear power plant, and if I can't get the plant to close, and if I can't get them to acknowledge that they're putting 2.4 billion gallons of radioactive water back in each day, and that's creating 1 billion dead fish per year, then am I the victim of the nuclear plant, or am I the victim of a belief system that tells me I do not have the power to make the changes to get out of harm's way? I call it watching Katrina, where you watch it coming, walk, take a bike. In 5 days, you'll be out of harm's way. But we watch, and then we're watching people on roofs saying, help me, I'm a victim. And how many times have we participated by reaction, by conditioning, by conscious, by unconscious, into becoming a victim? And I think it's time that we stopped acting like victims and started acting in a proactive way that we can make choices, positive choices. And I think that's what this audience, and that's what a proactive audience does. You get ahead of a problem. Right now, I see the future very positively. Not that I'm not aware of economic cataclysm coming, the destruction, ghettoization of the suburban areas, the disenfranchisement of large numbers of young people, especially people of color. And as you saw, people of color have it bad. People who are homeless, veterans have it twice as bad, the unemployment rate, and yet they're invisible. You never see what's the problems of a Latino or African American teenager. If you don't pay attention to them, who is going to pay attention? Gangs. If you know that your parents can't pay the bills and you're going to be out on the street, you're going to join a gang. And then you're going to get yourself into a family that's going to pay your bills and help you and tell you, you know, you're one of us. But what's the payback? What's the exchange? I believe that we're going to see upwards of 5 million gang members in the next 2 to 3 years. But I also believe that there's food co-ops and communities that are prospering and growing. And I think that more and more people are going to get off the grid and start looking at alternative ways of living. So I'm optimistic that as worse as it could possibly be, for some people, that's our wake-up call. One day, when it all implodes for about 250 million Americans, not the 70 million who will have no problem. They'll be living in green zones and protected and plenty of food, no problem. But for 2/3 of the American population, one day they're going to wake up and say, what just happened? And you're going to say, friend, you finally woke up. But how did it get this bad? Because you allowed it. You were indifferent. Well, man, it's real. Yes, it is. But now you finally see the choices you've made. You've heard me say this, but I'll say it one last time. You either know the value of your choices, the truth of your choices when you reach your destination. And if your destination is bankruptcy, if it's losing your home, if it's a heart attack or stroke, then you have a chance to say, gee whiz, what did I do? Or the wiser way is, and the way of the future is, what choices do I want to make to get the goal I need? If I want to be healthy, I got to make healthy choices. If I want to be happy, I have to make happy choices. If I want to live in a safe place, I got to find a safe place to live in. Because what if you're choosing not to move out of an earthquake zone that's on the water, surrounded by woods? What part of those three scenarios are likely to cause you to be losing it all in the near future? Is that what it's going to take? For a lot of people, yes, it is. For other people, they're going to say, no, I see where this is going, and I don't want to be there. I want to be somewhere else. And more you'll hear me doing shows to empower people to make healthier choices for the future. And I'm happy to see we got a lot of young people in this audience who are awakened. And by the way, let us not also forget that Ron Paul has 10 to 12 million young people who are idealistic in what they believe in. They don't believe in everything Ron Paul does. It's not possible. You can be adamantly against a lot of what that curmudgeon has to say, and we are. But if they want to believe in no more war, no more militarization, no more giving banks and these companies bailouts, no more letting the Federal Reserve exist as the corrupt organization it is, giving back our rights, stopping a fascist state and police state from occurring, then I say, don't throw those people like the left has under the bus. Don't treat them with disdain and mock them and ridicule them in your own intellectual conceit. That's the future. Ron Paul's not the future. They're the future. Wouldn't you think that they'd be smart enough? The trouble is, what they think they know, they don't. And a lot of people are not going to forget how arrogant the official left has been and being dismissive and excluding people because you're not good enough. You're not hip enough. You're not our way of being, so you're excluded. I don't mind making friends with 12 million people who in turn could influence another 10 or 15 million people on the principles we could all agree need to be changed. I believe make friends where you can make friends because it's the unity that gets us forward. And up to this point, the left has been fractured. They'd rather go into a room and stab each other in the eye with a fork than to compromise any principle that makes anyone else actually have a view that it can be supported. And that's unfortunate, but that's the truth of it. One more question. Yes, right here.
I'd like to ask you if you have ever been harassed or threatened for exposing the ugly truth.
All the time.
With your mind-boggling documentary.
For all of you who came tonight, I'm going to give you a copy of the film as you leave. You give it to someone that you care about. I'm asking you, tell 10 people this story. Thank you all very much.
I say thank you to Dr. Null. I'm inspired by your work, and I want to say you're on the front lines of very important issues, and you give faces and voices to people, especially tonight in this movie about the veterans, people who normally don't have voices, and I'm very grateful for your work.
I'm a Vietnam veteran. I was very touched the way Gary talked today. I didn't realize there were so many guys out there going through this turmoil and all these problems. And I say God bless you, Gary, for what you're doing, what you're trying to do. I think it's a great thing.
It was the most astounding documentary I have ever seen.
The truth is the light, and Gary is the beacon that lights the way. Powerful documentary from beginning to end.
Gary Null has brought to the public powerful, powerful images that will remain with us for a very long time about situations that many of us have not paid adequate attention to. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Null.
If everyone in America saw this film, we wouldn't be able to raise a volunteer army, and I think that would be a really good thing.
I'm a Vietnam vet. Gary's given us an opportunity to project this out into our society so that people who weren't aware will be aware. And we have to take that awareness and make the changes.
My father was a master sergeant in the military, and he's actually told me recently about some tent cities that are in Alabama and that he would go visit the people there. But I think this movie just gets to the heart of what is really going on, the fact that people that you will see them talk about, we need to feed the children here and do this and that, you know, but you will never see a story about homeless vets and that these people are giving their lives, yet you never see that they need help too. And it's because the vets are only there to be wrapped in an American flag and make people feel good and, you know, oh yes, we have to go fight, because their purpose is really only to go and make war in these countries. And you'll never hear anything about caring for these people.